Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing around in the new festival event, the Flash Forward event. The general theme of this one is only cards that were printed in the last year. So, this is a format essentially that cuts out the vast majority of Wizards of the Coast's biggest mistakes ever, which is things like War of the Spark, and so on and so forth. So the entry fee for this one does cost you 2,500 gold, so you're not gonna get much back from this except for cosmetics, so it's entirely based around what you really want from it. The actual win rewards, though, are some alternative arts that I think look quite sweet. We've got Containment Priest for the first win. For the second win, we've got Massacre Worm, that's the one I really want. And then the third win is a Cultivate alternative art as well, which looks pretty sweet. Now, the event itself is based around pre-made decks, so I've decided that I'm probably going to play the ones that you are, I guess, I don't know, in color combinations that you are less likely to see in Standard right now. So we're going to be playing with some Izzet for the Spell Power one, the Azorius for the Starry-Eyed, and then we'll do probably the Adventure one if we've got any time at the end of this video. So I do need to get my 3 wins for the day, so we're going to play them until we win and see how far we get, really. As soon as I got my 3 wins, we'll see where we want to go from there, I guess. But yeah, we're going to lead off first with the Spell Power list. Where's the arrow that can full screen this? Of all the opportunities WotC he could have had to really make that full screen thing work, because there's nothing here. Choose not to include the feature. Whatever. Anyway, Spell Power is all about casting spells, obviously. We've got things like Experimental Overload, 4 mana to create an XX weird creature token, where X is the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard, and then you may return an instant from your graveyard to your hand, and then exile it, so we can make a big boy. We also have things like Shark Typhoon, Stormwing Entity, some really cool things that care about spells. There's even Double Vision. I think this might be my favorite looking deck, and I want to specify that it's the one that I think looks like my favorite. It may end up being my worst enemy, and I don't even know if it's going to be the best possible deck. I don't particularly care to find out either. We're just going to be playing the most fun looking ones today, so, and I guess the least likely to be played on the in the matchmaking anyway. So we're going to be going first off with the spells deck. It looks sweet to me. Hopefully you guys do enjoy. And without further ado, let's get some gameplay. If you do enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty then, we're in, and we got some decent cards here actually. The only real stickler is the tap lands with the 2 Sweetwater Cliffs. I think I'm still going to keep this though. We can do an opt for the cost reduction on the Stormwing Entity, and we should be able to get it down early enough. From there we got Brazen Borrower for some disruption, as well as a double tap. I didn't even know Frost Breath was printed recently. So, more fun for me, I guess. And let's see which our opponent's deck of choice is today. I'm not too familiar with all of the decks. I've got a general idea of what to expect from them. I've only really looked at the ones that we're going to be playing today, though. And I get to keep looking at the one I'm playing right now. So it's going to be the Back for More Graveyard deck. So this one does have a little bit of Reanimator in it. And it is just Golgari. Alright, so we're going to go with a Riddle form here and get that going, I think. And then play our 3rd tap land in a row. From here, we'll have to see. I mean, we've got the Opt, which will give 3 cost reduction on this, and then we get to play the Stormwing Entity down and scry 2 some more, so that might be quite cool. Our opponent is ramping. Again, I'm not too familiar with what our opponent is specifically playing, but sure we'll find out. So I want to find my land drop for the turn here, so let's go with an Opt first. And absolutely will enable the Riddle form. So what does this thing do? Has double strike as long as there are 3 or more instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Well, we have 1, so I'm just going to put that one to the to the old trash. We also just kind of want lands, which we have failed on this time around, and then we'll go Stormwing Entity. We do have an island, okay. So Frost Breath does seem incredibly irritating for our opponent. I do already have one though, and I think a land would just be better so we can get towards the double vision and the boon of the Wish Giver. So I'm just going to pop those to the bottom, and we'll get him for 3 here. So every time we cast a non-creature spell, we get to animate Riddle Form and swing in, which is nice. It's basically the entire point of our deck. Alright, we know they've got no removal and no like damage-based effects there, based off how they chose to attack. Beginning of your end step, if a creature died, draw a card. Okay. So we're going to be using this on our opponent's turn, so we only really have 1 mana to play around with, unfortunately. Unless I want to just bounce this straight up, which I think is okay, actually. Just bounce their big 5-drop, prowess up, and also animate the Riddle Form. And the question is, do I actually want to go with the Sure Strike as well? And I think I probably do. It's a lot of damage. Yeah, let's do it. Prowess. Yeah, that can become a creature again, and yeah, we're basically putting a lot of points into our opponent's face right now, and one of them's protected by just being an enchantment right now, so they need instant speed removal to really deal with it. My Triton mills over 2 lands. That's got to feel real bad. I'm sure they were looking for something like Bat for More there, so they could reanimate and fight. And now the question is, can we win? So we can do Frost Breath to make this 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we're just a little bit short on damage there, unfortunately. So we'll play yet another tap land, and our opponent, I think, decides this is enough, which I would agree with. We were going to Frost Breath and tap down 6 points of damage, take 4, and then we're threatening lethal essentially just off the Riddle Form next turn, which is fine. It's not too bad at all. All right, well, that's the spells deck taken care of. Got our first win, and we're on with the next deck, actually, which is going to be Starry-Eyed, a favorite deck of mine, which is going to be an Enchantress style. So in this one, we've got All That Glitters as our kind of win con. We've even got Elspeth Conquers Death and Cure Our Best the Sea God as our top-end sagas, which is kind of nice. I believe we should have some way of pulling back them, right? As long as it's not your turn, spells cast. You cast will cost 1 less. I don't know if that actually really does anything. I mean, we can loop the sagas with the Midnight Clock, I suppose. This gets cost reduction for each enchantment, which is nice. Okay. Alright, I think I can see how this deck works. The only way we've got to actually loop these from our graveyard and back out is by cycling with the Midnight Clock by the looks of things, but other than that, this seems just fine. It'd probably be a little bit too powerful if the limited nature of this deck ended up being able to loop Cure Our Best the Sea God and Elspeth Conquers Death. You know, we'll see. Anyway, let's get to the gameplay for this particular list. Okay, we're in, and we've got the Birth of Meletus on 2. On 3, we've got Shambling Suit, which will actually get a little bit of a buff because of the artifact off of Chapter 2, which is fine. I think this hand's okay. It's a shame this doesn't actually get the cost reduction for artifacts as well, but maybe it'd be a bit too easy to cast at that point, who knows. Alright, so let's just go with the plains and pass the turn. Our opponent is on, I think, probably the red-black deck, if I had to guess. Birth of Meletus. We will grab ourselves a plains. So we do have the Tranquil Cove that we can play at any time, but now that we've got this known information, aka plains, we probably want to be leading off with that next turn, which is perfectly fine since we've got the Shambling Suit anyway that we want to probably play. Okay, so it's actually the deck that we just played. I'm wondering if the choice of basics is very specific to the list that you'd be going up against as well. That I'm not entirely sure about. I guess actually no. If we look at the islands, it looks like it's just M21 lands. So Shore Strike was in that deck, as well as Shock. So I'm going to take all of this damage. And assume they've got the Shore Strike. We'll wait until we've got like Keramitra's Blessing. And they had a Shock. And the Stormwing Entity. Alright. Not in the best position in the world, but it's one that we can probably come back from. If we draw something good. So far, so bad. Alright, we're going to go with Shambling Suit. And we're going to swing in. Now that we've got the Keramitra's Blessing, we can maybe get that Shore Strike out of them, since we can give +2/+2. But I'm going to need an answer to that Stormwing Entity. We've got Banishing Lights. We can maybe block with something like an Arcanist Owl, though obviously that's probably less likely to happen. Elspeth Conquers Death is okay as well. Alright, so we're going to go boop and boop here. They're going to use their pump spell. There it is. So now that's a 4/1. And mine's a 5/5. Value. Gonna need another Shock in order to punish that, which they didn't have. So, let's see. 5 mana is not enough to do anything, so we'll go with our tap land and swing for 6. Take them down to 11. We're currently winning the race, but it's not by much. Could still swing in either player's favor. Yeah. So, now it's swinging in theirs. Now it's extremely swinging in theirs. Wow. Held that one for a while, didn't we? Oh, come on. Okay, fair enough. We got Luminous Broodmoth. So they have got rid of a lot of their burn spells here, so we can be relatively comfortable that they don't have more. But they do have a 6/6. That's not ideal. And a Shock now as well. So this is 7 points if I don't block. I think I've probably just got to not block. Yeah, we'll go to 4. They'll save their Shock perhaps. Arcanist Owl. It's not ideal, but it does potentially open us up to getting something nice here, which all that glitters is not exactly what I had in mind. It's what we'll keep, though. And I think because they're burn-related, we'll make Broodmoth as big as it can possibly be, which is going to be a 6/7. They do have Brazen Borrowers, and I think Unsummons in there as well, but gotta go with what we've got. Which is currently a Broodmoth trade with the Stormwing. I'll jump a little. I think we can afford to wait on that one for at least a small amount of time. This does not come back with flying, unfortunately, because the token just gets deleted. Banish into Fable. Now that's a card. Alright. So, when you cast this from your hand, copy it if you have an artifact, then copy it if you control an enchantment. You may choose new targets. So we're going to bounce the weird. We're going to make a copy. And another copy. Because we've got Arcanist Owl, which is an artifact, and we've got All That Glitters, which is an enchantment. So this is going to be a board wipe that makes us some 2/2s. And there's some guaranteed value to be had here, essentially. And we'll bounce that one as well. Okay, that's extremely good for us. I don't believe that they've got any haste-related permanents in their deck. It would probably have to be a top deck. So we should have lethal here. I guess if they find us another shock off the top, they can beat us that way. Pretty sure that's the only burn spell they have that can go directly to face, though. And I know they do have multiples. But there's just too many creatures here, and they don't have sweepers, I'm almost certain of that. So we've gone from probably losing to almost assuredly winning. They actually bounced our Broodmoth, which is just rude. But this is a solid attack. Yep, take them to 2. Play Broodmoth. So we can block the fairy token. It was a nice enough draw for them. But the fact that they couldn't maximize the amount of damage potential out of it by Xing higher than the mana cost of the permanents we had on board means that they essentially lose. Wow. I didn't think we were winning that one. I really didn't. There's a lot of back and forth there. Got to be pretty pleased with that, to be honest. Alright, so we've now won with the Enchantress one. And we got our Massacre Worm alternative art, which I think looks pretty sweet to me. And yeah, we are 1 away from completing the event. I guess I will probably now play the 2 adventure list. And then if we've got some time, we'll probably revisit our favourite one, which, to be honest, was that Enchantress list. I actually really enjoyed that game. So 2 adventure is probably something that you're very familiar with, but usually this one comes in like a Teamer version with Brazen Borrowers and things like that. This one's actually green-white. And this plays in kind of the first ever adventure style list that I built, actually, which was built around things like Wandermare. 3 mana, 3/3, whenever you cast a card or a creature spell that has an adventure, put a counter on Wandermare, which is cool. Or is it Vandermeer? I don't know. It's like a Germanic town in the background. We're going to go with Vandermeer. Okay. Yeah, we've got Edgewall Innkeeper as well, which also benefits off of the casting the adventure creature cards to draw you some cards, so we can get through with like Shepherd of the Flock just being a 2 mana 3/1, which will then draw you a card and put counters on Wandermare and pretty cool stuff like that. Lucky Clover to tie it all together if we find this at least, doubling up the actual adventure side of cards. Ooh, hello. I don't actually know this one. 2 mana 2/2, whenever you cast a creature spell that has an adventure, it just gets +1/+1. That's probably why I don't know it, because it's bad. Okay. Giant Killer to kill big creatures. Gain flying. Make some humans and Lord effect up. I guess Anthem effect up on the creature side of thing. We've got the Iron Scale Hydra as well, which is not a good card, but in this format, maybe it will be. And if a creature card will deal combat damage to an Iron Scale Hydra, prevent that damage, and put a counter on it instead. And then we've got counters on each thing. So we actually have a very big counters matter synergy. But I don't know if there's actually a counters payoff. In fact, there isn't a counters payoff. It's just make things bigger, which is fine, I guess. Making things bigger is never bad. Now, Banishing Light is our removal, as well as Realm Cloak Giants, destroy all non-giants. I imagine you're the only giant in here, right? You are. So this is a board wipe for us as well. There's no one-sided nature like in Giant Tribal or anything like that. But yeah, let's get to it. Also, I think there's too many tap lands in these decks. I think this is pushing it. Why not just put Fable Passage in here? That's a card from Eldraine, right? Let's put that in here. Also, I'd like to note that I've got this in full screen now. You remember when there was a big dirty box at the top? That's gone now. So I guess it was a bug. I don't know. Anyway, next game. Alrighty then, we're in. And yeah, I think this is fine. It's a little slow, but I think it's fine. Alright, what are we up against? On a Multi 6 is what we're up against, and it's going to be the Gruul Stompy list. This is actually a deck I was thinking about playing after this one. So we'll see if we like it, based off of what our opponent does. So they got the Almighty Brushwag. Got the Edgewall Innkeeper, which we can actually protect, and I think I'll go with that. So we'll play the Innkeeper, and this allows me to hold open the Usher to safety here, which means that if our opponent goes for some removal, I can actually protect our Innkeeper and get some free value. There you go. So we'll bounce that back. And if we draw an untapped land, I can now go Innkeeper into Shepherd of the Flock and get that guaranteed value. I've already kind of gotten some value off of our opponent anyway, just based off of the play we made there. And since we can't protect it really anymore, we are going to get that guaranteed value. So Lucky Clover is awesome. Absolutely awesome. We're going to be playing that. It's 1 mana for the flyer side. Yes. Okay, just checking. You can be a 4/4 for 4 mana now. So that's fine. Opponent's actually going to go ahead and do it, which is interesting, to say the least. Target creature gets +2/+2 and you untap it. Okay. I think I'm going to go with the Lucky Clover, and I'm probably just going to play the Fairy Guide Mother here. Just a hard cast to dig through the deck a little bit. I'm probably going to go with like the Bring Back next turn and make 4 humans, which should be nice, since the Clover's now making additional copies of our spells now, which is cool. So our opponent's deck is based around big boys, essentially. Lots of giants and things like that, so there's a fair few things like a power 4 or greater matters kind of cards. So I expect to see a few of those coming up soon. I'm hoping to go wider than our opponent, and it certainly seems like this might be a good matchup for doing that kind of thing. And I don't think we're trading off a Shepherd of the Flock with a Brushwag unless they pay 4 mana. And then we'll do like Shepherd plus 1 token there to make that a reality. Alright, so this is where they spew forth all of the cards from their Escape to the Wilds. We've got another Brushwag, an Elysian Caryatid, Nessian Hornbeetle, which cares about 4 power or greater. And then they've got the Warden of the Chained as well, that can't attack unless you've got a creature with power 4 or greater. So, opponent's deck is essentially popping off. It can attack next turn from the Hornbeetle, since combat will put that into a good position. So I think I'm going to go with the Innkeeper, and then I might actually go with the Oakhame Ranger here, since I can do creature you control, get +1/+1 until the end of the turn next turn, which is kind of nice. And we draw 2 cards off of this as well. Banishing Light, and we've made our land drop for the turn, unfortunately, so I think we're just going to ping our opponent. We are going very wide now, so our opponent's not exactly incentivized to attack us necessarily. Since the swing back can be pretty brutal. And even in the current situation, we've got the Banishing Light here that actually allows us to take out some of their blockers. I think the real thing we're going to be doing, though, is doubling up Silver Flame Squire. The target creature gets +2/+2 and untap it, which means we can actually activate Oakhame Ranger a few times this turn. And yeah, they're getting in. Alright, so I think we're just going to take some easy blocks. That one right there forces them to pay 4 mana, or lose it. We're going to block here, because there's no trample. I don't think they can give double strike, but let's assume that the Warden is a double striker, so that'd be 9 points we're taking. I think that's perfectly fine. We'll allow the rest. Yeah, something's going on. I think this will be just fine, though, to be fair. What do you have in your deck that would kill me here? Because I am definitely being greedy with my blocks. I could block the Elysian Caryatid as well. And I could add Shepherd of the Flock to kill the Brushwag guaranteed. Double the power, so yeah, basically double strike. Oh. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, I could have blocked the Elysian Caryatid and been at 1. Would we have won from there, actually? So next turn, let's view battlefield. Next turn, I was going to banishing light any blockers they may have, so they wouldn't have had any blockers. From there, I would go with Silver Flame Squire. Well, actually, I'd tap the Okame Ranger to give +1/+1 to everything. Okame Squire to untap it, +1/+1 to everything, and then untap it again from the copy, +1/+1 to everything. So this would be 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah, there'd be more than enough damage to win there. We just got a little bit greedy on our blocks, and we were exactly punished, which is wow. Just wow. I mean, double Unleash Fury. I expected like 1 double power effect, but 2. That's pushing it. Yeah, well. Let's go for another game then, shall we? Yeah, I guess we'll play this one again since we lost. And it seemed reasonable enough. Woo, dailies! I guess we'll open up a pack as well. Because we can. Let's see what we get in our Core 21. I actually need some common and uncommon wildcards, because I ended up crafting a load from Jumpstart, and I guess Wizards got what they wanted. My wildcards are now drained. So, yeah. Let's see. No common and uncommon wildcards, and a Sanctum of all. Very good. Alright, that's fine. Next game. Okay, we're in. If this had green mana in it, I would be keeping the crap out of this hand. As it currently stands, though, we're not really doing anything with it. So I think I'll take the mull on that one. And this has got pretty much everything you'd want. So we're going to keep it. Question is, what do I throw back? I want to keep the Garenbrigg Squire for an early play. Probably a land here, I think. Just hope we kind of naturally draw into them. We've got plenty of draws to work our way towards victory. It's a black deck with Boot Nipper. I think it's a red-black deck. I don't actually know what it does, though. It's one of the decks that I didn't look at. So they've got a 2/1 Death Touch. It's actually the black-white deck. Oh, this is a life gain kind of deck. It probably got Griffin Ares in, and the vampire that deals 3 when you gain 3. I would guess they're all part of the combination here. So we're going to get in for 2. One's got Death Touch, so even pumping it is going to make them block anyway. And we'll go with the Vandermeer. And pass the turn. Resolute Rider. Gains lifelink until the end of the turn. Gains indestructible until the end of the turn. Okay. So, whenever you cast a creature spell that has an adventure, put a counter on Vandermeer. So, I think I might just go with... I almost feel like it's Fairy Guide Mother, give flying to Vandermeer. Or shall I just go wide with Okame Rangers? I guess it's Okame Rangers. Let's go wide. Let's see if we can set up the little combo we tried to do in the last game, but we were a turn away from victory. Okay, so our opponent's in a tough spot now, since the Resolute Rider could make them a Griffin if it attacked in, but they would have to actually pay the 2 to make it lifelink, and then they wouldn't be able to go with the Indestructible. So I've got another Vandermeer. So I think I'm going to go with another Vandermeer. And play Blossoming Sands. And probably pass the turn. Yeah, I think I'll go slow and steady here. Lifelink counter on a creature. That will probably win them the game. Wowee. That is very good. And Indulging Patrician is the vampire I was thinking of that deals 3. So now they've got the 3 to give Indestructible, and they're also gaining enough life to absolutely murderize us. So yeah, I don't actually think we can win unless we can block the Rider. This is sorcery speed for flying as well, which blows me away. I don't know why it needs to be sorcery speed, but it is. I guess we'll go with Oakham Ranger. I just don't know what we're going to do here, though, to be honest. I think we've already lost. I can't really just make them pay 3 and kill all my creatures, so... You know what? Let's turn these guys into 5/5s. At the very least, I've got to swing back now. I can keep that kind of pressure on. And we'll block with some 1/1s. But it's a bit much. Alright, they gain 1 life. We'll chump the Resolute Rider with one of our 1/1s here. And go to 10. Oof. They make a Griffin. Don't know if I would have done that, if I were them. They didn't really need to. Garenbriggs Squire. So... I can profit block a Griffin with the Oakham Ranger tap, and then bounce it with Shepherd of the Flock. I'll bounce the Ranger maybe with the Shepherd of the Flock so I can make some more tokens. So I think we'll make some tokens. We will get in with our Vandermeers. For 10. Is it too little, too late? Let's find out. Revitalize enables the Patrician and the Griffin area, which is something that I was trying to avoid with our play here. Which is to block, block. Tap this so it trades. Gains indestructible? Why? Okay. Well, I'll just bounce that back out. That was my plan all along. So they wouldn't gain the 5 there because we've removed it from combat. It was my hope that that was going to be good enough, but as it currently stands, we're taking 3 from the Patrician. And yeah, they're set up to do it next turn anyway. So we lose. That's a shame. Yeah, okay, well, I'm going to move on from this deck because it's terrible, I guess. That's my my assumption right now. And we'll switch off to, I guess, the Gruul deck, and that'll be our last game of the night. So, Defet. Yeah, there's some cool stuff to do with the Adventures one, but I don't think it's cool enough to go in for a 3rd game. Let's do Stomp Stomp. I like this one. Or at least I like the look of it. It's got Terror of the Peaks, so that we can ETB, destroy things. 4 power matters, which we can make work relatively easy, actually. And there's just some interesting stuff in here, so... yeah, let's give this one a shot and see how we do. Alrighty then, we're in. We don't have any green mana, but with a hand like this, I feel like we can afford to keep it nonetheless. Between the Bone Crusher Giant's early game Stomp and being able to cast it, and the Rimrock Knight being able to pump it and actually play itself, I think this is... it's acceptable. So our opponent mulled down to 6, and they are playing one of the green decks. It's going to be the Adventures list, and that is a definite... very good Stomp target for us, and we're going to do that before they get to cast anything. Since it is a cast trigger, I want to make sure that there's no value to be gained there. So as long as they can't go very wide, I think we've got a decent enough matchup here. Also, we need to draw actual green mana so that our cards are playable. So, we're going to go with Bone Crusher Giant. Now we've got a 4-powered creature, so these things can attack, technically. And Wandermare. Oh, thank Christ for that. Okay. So that is a 4-3. I wonder if we go with the first of Rowan Games to make it a little bit bigger. Since you don't actually add any toughness. Yeah, I think we'll do that. Let's go first to Rowan Games. And you know what? We're going to actually offer a trade here. Wandermare can be much bigger than the Bone Crusher Giant, so that's fine by me. And short of them having Banishing Light, which can just hit the first of Rowan Games anyway, we can apply the 3 counters to the token to make a 4-4. So that still enables the Chapter 3, and it also enables the Warden of the Chained as well. Gonna give it flying, okay. And it's 6 power. Also okay. Alright, so you're saying you want to race. I think I will spread the love a little bit. So we could do a 4-mana 5/5, or we could play down Warden of the Chained with some pump magic. I might as well just probably go with a 4-mana 5/5, to be honest, and swing for 8. Okay, you're at 8. We've hit the point where you will probably be chump blocking. And I'll be happily trading a Wandermare for something. We're going to be drawing almost guaranteed 2 cards next turn off the Rowan Games. Short of them Banishing Lighting it specifically. Which is not answering the board, and that's probably a losing move for them. So they actually passed. We've got a Ram Through. No land, though. Ram Through with Warden of the Chained would have been nice. So what could they have here? We can fight with Wandermare. With our Rampart Smasher, I suppose. At the very least, we get our opponent to use a Shepherd to bounce it out of combat, which is good enough for me. So let's start with that. We've even got the Rimrock Knight to give it a little bit more power if needs be. And yep, that'll do it. I think there is no move they can make there where they can actually come back and be on top. All they can really do is defend an impossible position, essentially. So, yeah, I think that was reasonable enough, and actually a pretty short game with this one. I think that's all of our 3 wins now. Let's have a look-see. As short as that 4-minute game was, we actually got ourselves our Cultivate, finished off the format, and the Stomp one looks pretty fun and pretty cool. So, yeah, I think that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Let me know which one your favourite list was from this event. There was a fair few interesting ones in here. Knights, I just felt was a little bit cliche. We've done, life skills as well. This one, we did this one in Historic Artisan, I think it was. Not so long ago, and it was probably one of the best Artisan decks I've ever seen, so I felt like we played it too recently, though, so we didn't go with it. But yeah, I don't think we saw anyone playing Line of Fire. I was waiting for this one. I think this is kind of like a Sacrifice and maybe Menace Tribal. I don't actually know. Yeah, it's a Sacrifice deck. So yeah, Rakdos Sack, I'm sure you're all very much fatigued with that one. I think this one's Mutate. Actually, it's Simic Ramp. I'm sure you're all very fatigued by Simic Ramp. And then Dimir Flash. I'm sure this one's also pretty good. Seems as though they've trimmed to down near nothing on a lot of the actual good cards, which is probably for the best. Yeah, there was I think the overall opinion on this format is they've kind of too many tap lands for one. I don't think you need that many, and if you're going to put tap lands in, you put Fable Passages in, which are in this format. They absolutely are, because they're in, well, not only they're in M21, but they're also in Eldraine as well, so they should have been in here over the Sweetwater Cliffs, for sure. I don't think it really hurts the deck in any way, or the format in any way, for doing that. I think they've perfectly balanced and knew what the cards that would be too powerful are, I don't know if there's any particular deck in this pile that's more powerful than another. But yeah, felt like we were having reasonably even matchups, to be honest. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed anyway. I'm rambling on. If you did, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. As again, let me know which one was your favorite deck from today's deck lists. And yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow for some more Magic Arena. Take care.